Hi everyone, welcome back to Gracie May's Tarot. So today we have a video that was requested by a subscriber. So I want to go ahead and explain this topic because I know the title of this video may be a little bit confusing. So what we're looking at is your higher self and your future spouse's higher self. What do they want to tell you about your current status of your connection with your future spouse? So especially if you feel like you haven't met your future spouse yet, or you feel like you're in separation from them or something like that, this is going to be getting your higher self's opinion on the status of the connection and your future spouse's higher self's opinion, about the connection and what messages they want to tell you. I just thought it was a really cool idea. So I'll be using two different tarot decks, and we'll be showing specific oracle cards for your higher self's opinion versus your future spouse's higher self's opinion. So it's going to be one side over here, one side over there. So I hope that makes sense. You'll definitely see the flow of it as we get into your group, but I did want to give that, little explanation before we got into it. That way I don't have to repeat myself for every single pile. Okay, we're also using pre-pulled cards today because it was a lot of decks. Okay, so we've got pile 1 here, we've got pile 2, and pile 3 over here. Now the timestamps are listed below in the description box. I can't recall if this is one of the thumbnails where you can choose your group based upon the image or the symbol you're most drawn to, but if it is, of course, you can always select your group that way as well. Okay, I think that's enough explanation. Let's get into your reading. Hi pile 1, welcome to your reading. So that oracle card that you selected your group with, we're actually going to look at that at the very end of your reading. So for right now, you can see the layout here. So this side here is your higher self, and these cards are representing your future spouse's higher self. So for your higher self, we'll start over here, and then we'll move on to your future spouse's higher self and what they have to say. Before we do that though, I just want to point out this really cool thing. So I wasn't going to take the bottom of the deck, but when I was putting the cards to the side, I always turn them, backwards so I can see the bottom of the deck, and then I just use my intuition, do I want to pull it, do I not want to pull it? And so I laid your higher selves deck, the Everyday Witch Tarot, to the side, and then after I pulled your future spouse's cards, I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, how do they have the same card as their bottom of the deck? It was so spooky. And so I was like, okay, definitely have to pull these cards. So it is very, very cool to me that 6 of Swords, bottom of the deck, both sides. But anyway, for your higher self here, we have the Tower, we have the Magician, we have the 7 of Cups, and yes, the 6 of Swords. So the fact that the 6 of Swords is reflected on both sides of this reading tells me 2 things. One, 6 of Swords talks about moving in a positive direction, leaving behind something that just wasn't serving you. So the fact that we have both sides here like both of you currently, pile one, are moving towards each other. Now, even if you feel like you know your future spouse, even if you're dating them, that would tell me like there's movement towards that higher level of commitment. There's movement towards, you know, we're getting closer to when I'm going to propose to them or they're going to propose to me. You know, like you're getting closer to that engagement stage. Or some of you are watching this for fun and you are already engaged and your wedding date is approaching. That could be for some of you. For most of you though, I do feel likely you're not in connection with this person yet, or you're in separation, or you haven't met them yet. And this is talking about both sides. You know, your higher self is like, all good over here, we're on the right track, and your future spouse's higher self is like, we're all good over here, we're on the right path. Like you guys are both moving towards each other. You're both being guided. So, you know, both sides here are in agreement that you two are, you know, on the right path and definitely being prepared and getting ready for union. So I wouldn't be surprised if you feel like you haven't met this person yet, or if you're in separation with them. I wouldn't be surprised if a reunion is pretty imminent here. Now, your higher self, we've got the Tower, the Magician, and the Seven of Cups. Look at how satisfied. This is one of my favorite depictions of the Tower. Look at how satisfied she is. This isn't, you know, typically the Tower talks about, you know, spirit pulling the rug out from under you and, you know, feeling blindsided. This Tower falling feels more like something that you and your higher self were in agreement with. You know, like you wanted this Tower to fall and your higher self was like, I got you. You know, so like there's this feeling of satisfaction here. I feel like there was a point in time where you're like, I'm not happy with this. I want to have some choices. And so, you know, it's like Spirit laid out all these different options for you, and you manifested which cup you wanted, you know? So once you set that intention and said, okay, this cup right here with the hearts, this is the cup that I want. You can even see, like, she looks like she's reaching towards this cup, you know? So likely right now your focus is on love. It is on manifesting that long-term partner. And so that's it. Like if you're wanting a manifestation check, like are things going okay on that end? Yes, like you are moving towards it. So from your higher self's perspective, it's like, you know, we had to get you to a point, pile one, where you were ready to let go of this crumbling tower. You were open to letting me knock it over for you, and you were open to manifesting this new beginning, and you were willing to choose the right cup. You were willing to focus your intention towards this. And so from your higher self's perspective, they're like, all good on this end. You know, if there's something still in your life that you haven't completely walked away from or that you're still holding on to, this Tower would signify like this is the last step. But I think that given that we have the Six of Swords here, there may come a point in time when, you know, maybe you come into union with your future spouse, you meet them, and you have to let go or walk away from something that isn't serving you. So an example of that could be like, you know, maybe your future spouse lives a distance from you and you are working at a dead-end job that you're miserable at, that you know you don't want to stay in, and so you're like, you know, I've been sort of edging away, you know, one foot out the door for a while now that I've met my future spouse, and I think I want to move to be closer to them. The only thing that's holding me back is this job. You let go of the job and, you know, you start applying for a new job somewhere closer to your future spouse and you move closer to that area. That would just be an example, but I think you guys get what I'm saying. But it all looks very favorable over here. There's nothing that your higher self is really saying that you wouldn't agree with. You know, there's nothing over here where your higher self is like, you know, we're not on the same page, me and pile one. Pile one's not listening to me. You know, it feels like you and your higher self are really like seeing eye to eye here about how this thing should go. Now, over here, to your future spouse's higher self, Ooh. I love, 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 love. I love both of these decks. This one is an old favorite. It was one of my first tarot decks, but this one is quickly becoming another favorite. So I'm really just loving the entire vibe here of your reading so far. But from your future spouse's higher self, from their perspective, we have the High Priestess, we have the Six of Wands, we have the Ace of Cups, and again, that Six of Swords. Here's the interesting part here. I feel like from your future spouse's higher self's perspective, they are saying your future spouse had to come into their own. Like if you're wanting to know, like, why has it taken so long for us to meet, or why is it taking so long to get this level of commitment from them, they had to grow into their own. They had to become this fierce character, okay? Like this lion existed within them this entire time, and they had to awaken to that energy. They had to awaken to confidence. They had to awaken like that inner charisma, that drive, that ambition. Like they always had this heart of gold, but it's like they didn't recognize their own strengths, and they had to grow into that. So now they're so full of this self-love. Their cup is literally like overflowing with love. And I think part of that was helped by their connection to spirit. This does seem like a spiritual person with the High Priestess here. But now that their cup is running over with love, now they have enough love to share with you, pile one, whereas before, I think that insecurity would have gotten the best of them. The connection wouldn't have had the longevity. You know, it wouldn't have had the wheels to go anywhere, because your future spouse wouldn't have felt like they deserved it. Their self-limiting beliefs would have hindered the connection, you know, especially like I could see this person having like an anxious attachment style, you know, like maybe they would have been a little bit controlling. You know, Leo energy can also be a little bit bossy. So, you know, you may have been like teasing them and they would have taken it the wrong way, you know, but now they don't have those issues anymore because they've awakened to that self-confidence. And I think also, honestly, a lot of this has to do with their career. A lot of this has to do with the fact that their higher self wanted them to be in a place where they were on the pathway to success and they would feel confident about that. This is someone who, like, success means a lot to them. Like, beyond just material wealth, success in terms of their pride. So they put a lot of their sort of their validation and how they feel about themselves into their success level. And so, you know, if you're doing really well in your career over here and your future spouse is really struggling, that could have affected the connection. You know, there would have been this inherent imbalance. And again, it's not about the financial status, it's about how do they feel. Do they feel that they're in a good place in their career? Do they feel like they're on the right trajectory upwards? You know, it's about what they're doing more than like how much money they're making. Because again, this is a very spiritual person. They're more concerned with alignment of a soul's purpose. Do I feel like, even if they wouldn't use that terminology, you know, even if they're spiritual in a different way than you are, it would still matter to them, like, am I doing what I'm meant to do? You know, is this the career path that's right for me? They're very big into following their heart and following their intuition. So, yes, they had to come into this High Priestess energy. And the High Priestess, like, see, like, she is the ringmaster here. And she's just in charge of the whole show. She's balancing on this moon. She has balanced this sun energy with this moon energy. Like, she's come into the light, she stepped into the spotlight, but then on the other side of it, remember when I say like she and he, I'm just talking about divine feminine versus divine masculine energy. I'm not talking about gender. Just had to give that disclaimer. But this High Priestess here, she's mastered that energy of the spotlight, but then on the other side of it, she's mastered this great unknown, right? Like she trusts herself. So she's not concerned with what she doesn't know. She's not concerned with the big question mark that is the future. And so this kind of gives me the energy of, you know that saying that, how does it go? A bird doesn't concern herself with the strength of the branch because she trusts her wings. That's kind of the energy now of your future spouse. And so, yeah, I think they had to come into their own. They needed time to mature and evolve without you. You know, they had to grow into their own individual. That way, when you two come together, they're not defining themselves in terms of the connection. They're not holding on too tightly. They're not anxious. They're not being controlling. You know, they just had to grow up and mature. You know, we all have lessons that we had to learn. And I'm sure with the Tower, you've had your own lessons that you needed to learn as well. So with the Six of Swords here, yeah, there's definitely movement in a positive direction. You two are well on your way to meeting each other or reconciling with one another, whatever the case may be. Or again, moving to that higher level of commitment if you feel like you already know this person and are in a relationship with them. Okay, trying to address like all possible circumstances. Okay, so these cards here are representing the archetype that you or your future spouse needs to be in for this union to happen or this level of commitment to happen. So for you, pile one, your higher self wants you to be in the energy of the networker. It says, enhances unity through the sharing of information, engenders social awareness and empathy. This to me is telling me that you just need to get out, meet people, talk to people, socialize. This could also be talking about like with all the envelopes here, like you could be getting a call out of the blue, a message on social media out of the blue from your future spouse. If it's someone from your past, that could be a thing. Or it could be a new person like reaching out to you, something like that. But yes, I feel like that is part of it. Like especially if you've been, you know, just not leaving your house a whole lot, staying at home a whole lot, this could be something that's really helpful. But again, I think getting out of your comfort zone, socializing, having new experiences, that would be a good energy for you to be in. That kind of reminds me of like playful Gemini energy that could be helpful for you during this time. Now your future spouse needs to be in the energy of God, apparently. It says benevolence and compassion, recognizing the external force within yourself and others. This is lining up really well with the High Priestess, right? So I feel like your future spouse may have some people from their past that they need to forgive and, you know, leave the past in the past and move forward. They also may need to exercise more benevolence and compassion towards themselves and forgive themselves for past actions. That could also be a thing. I feel like this is also talking about just kind of balancing out the act of surrendering with also the act of free will and following that intuition and taking that inspired action. So kind of feels like more is being asked of your future spouse, to be honest with you. Like between these two energies here, I would say this is a more difficult one to achieve. I think that your future spouse is a very incredible, special person. It feels like to me that they have been through more than the average person. It feels like they probably had a difficult childhood or a lot of challenges to overcome. They've been through a lot of difficult life circumstances, and through all of that, they have maintained this empathy and compassion and generosity of heart. It's again that heart of gold that they've always had. And yeah, I feel like I'm really drawn here too. Like it seems like both water and clouds and then the sun. It feels like they're just meant to go with the flow, surrender, but when things are being asked of them through that own like internal guidance, that own inner voice, you know, that pushes us to do things from time to time. I think that's when they need to answer the call. And when they answer that call, it'll be you. So actually, now that I'm thinking of it, maybe you're meant to send a message, actually. I think maybe I had that flipped. So, okay, if you are feeling an urge to message someone, or maybe even if you have like a dream, I could see them sending you psychic messages here. Because this person's very like spiritual, very psychic, even if they're not aware of those psychic abilities. So yeah, if you're dreaming about someone repeatedly, or someone just randomly pops into your head and you haven't thought about them in a long time, maybe send out a message, reach out to them. That could just be a message for some of you. I may have had that flipped before. Sometimes the energies get muddled, even when I try to separate them out. Okay, moving on. Oh, I grabbed too many cards. So this is what your higher self is thinking, and then your future spouse's higher self. Okay, so this is what they have to say about the connection, and this could also be talking about once you come into union together. I didn't specify, I just left it open-ended with these cards. So we have spying and communication. I actually want to go ahead and flip these cards over too. Okay, self-love and stormy. Okay, this is lining up really, really well. So we have spying, keeping tabs, searching online, and we have text, call, unblock, reach out. Okay, yes, I feel like this is confirming what I just said, that yes, like, I mean, you can read it in both ways, but now I'm thinking maybe you've been spying on someone and you've been contemplating reaching out, but you just haven't done it yet. For others of you, this means that someone is keeping tabs on you and they are contemplating reaching out to you. So just take whichever side resonates, but someone's checking up on someone, and it's like someone almost has their hand on the phone, they just haven't done it yet. Or you could be sitting on a message that you just haven't responded to yet, and this is your call to do so from your higher self. Now, on your future spouse's higher selves, sorry, that's a mouthful. From their perspective, their higher self really wants them to focus on self-love. Honestly, it kind of feels like you're meant to move towards them, because we have stormy, difficult time ahead, grief, emotional upheaval. I feel like this is what they've been through. Again, like, I just want to wrap your future spouse up in a blanket and then give them a cup of tea and say it's all going to be all right. Like, I feel like they have been put through the ringer, and that's saying something because you had the Tower card over here. And yet, it feels like your future spouse is going through a really hard time. So yeah, like, just their higher self just wants them to focus on self-love. Like, just keep on filling up that Ace of Cups, and you know, it's almost like you're meant to take this real grounded action towards your future spouse, whereas your future spouse is meant to be in this divine feminine energy of receiving. Even it's very interesting too to have the High Priestess and the God card, because this is balancing out that divine feminine with that divine masculine. But it feels like, you know, in terms of the real grounded action, feels like your future spouse has already done that, or it's not their time yet. And what they're meant to do right now is just keep filling up that cup, keep attracting you energetically through loving themselves, taking care of themselves, showing spirit that they are ready for this connection by keeping that cup filled up, that Ace of Cups. So yeah, very different energy. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. Again, it kept these cards open-ended. Oh, that's right, they were a little bit chattier. Okay, so from your higher self's perspective here, we have family and support. So if you're wanting to start a family, or you have a lot of fur babies, you're a big animal lover, definitely that is in the cards. I love making that pun. that is in the cards for you all. It just feels very warm and very loving. The dynamic between you two is gonna feel like a soul family connection. Like I could definitely see you two being soulmates, but it feels very mutually supportive, very nurturing, very loving. 3 4s here. 3 4s. So that means lots of stability, lots of security, lots of potential for longevity in your marriage, right? Not every marriage lasts, but it feels like yours will. Yeah, and I think in terms of like your day-to-day routines, you two are going to be very evenly matched. So that means that you guys could play off each other's strengths. Like, you know, one person is a great cook while the other person keeps a very tidy home, or like one of you has a very successful career outside of the home and the other person, you know, makes everything run very smoothly inside the home and, you know, takes on the bulk of the childcare, whatever the case may be, but you two make a great team. Okay. Now, from your future spouse's higher self's perspective here, I actually want to put this in the middle. Okay, a couple different messages here. It does feel like your future spouse's higher self is saying a couple different things with this mystery card. One, it's saying how you two actually come together could be a mystery. There could be an element of fate, divine timing. There could be like a meet cute rom-com kind of scenario. Also could be talking about that if this is someone from your past, the fact that they were your soulmate was hidden from you at one point, and now it's being revealed to you, like someone taking off a mask and you're like, man, how did I not see this before? You know, so this could be like maybe you were apart for several years and then you run into someone from your past and you're like, how did I not see this connection for what it was the first time? So that could just be a message for some of you. This chain is actually making me think of the red thread of fate, given that it's next to soul connection here. So again, could be your soulmate. Also with codependency, I feel like this is something that your future spouse has had to work through or is working through currently, is being chained to people that don't treat them well, don't really add anything, just take and take and take and take. Because it feels like to me like your future spouse is a real giver here. Gracie's my cat. She's into something. I'm gonna have to maybe pause the reading or something, figure out what she's doing. Okay. And then obviously with soul connection, this could be your soulmate. And this is also picking up on the fact that this soul connection card came out over here, your future spouse has some psychic abilities. Like whether they're aware of it or not, they are sensing you before you're sensing them. So they could be having dreams about you, downloads about you. And again, they may be completely unaware of it, or they may very well know like you're their soulmate. So it's gonna vary. It's going to depend on how aware of this they are, but they definitely sense it. And it could also be speaking to the fact that when you do meet them, they feel this love at first sight because it's like this inner knowing, this gut feeling that you are the one right away. Right away. They feel that soul level connection, I think, more strongly than you do. Okay, she's finally stopped doing whatever she was doing, so I think we're good. All right, so this card is representing how you will feel in this connection once you are together or even once you're married. We have the oldest fairy. So from your higher self's perspective here, you are going to feel a sense of timelessness about this connection, meaning that you feel like this person was worth waiting for. You know, even if you were told you could meet someone pretty great tomorrow and get married to them, or you could wait for this person, but you're not going to get married to them for, I don't know, another 5 years. You would still pick this person. Like, that's how incredibly connected you feel to them. That's how deep your love is, that you would just wait and wait and wait and wait and wait for this person. And so your higher self is saying, like, even if you're feeling impatient now, trust me, this person is worth waiting for, and this is the person that you're gonna want to grow old with. And even with the oldest fairy here, I feel like this could also be hinting at a soulmate where you have shared multiple past lives together. Now, from your higher self's perspective, we have the tattoo fairy. So this is making me think of another oracle deck that I have where the true love card is represented by this woman like holding herself, and she's covered in tattoos, and it says something like true love is like a tattoo, true love never dies, or something like that. I don't know, I don't remember what it says. But that's what it's making me think of, is true love. You know, just like a tattoo, I'll always have you, that kind of feeling. I think it also speaks to how your future spouse just knows you like the back of their hand. Like they know you like tattoos on their body. Like I think also there's a lot of messages with this one. Your future spouse's higher self is a lot chattier than your higher self. So you may find your future spouse is a lot more talkative than you are, or maybe even just more open to discussing their emotions, because your higher self plays it a little bit more close to the vest. But anyway, with your future spouse here, I think that they're also a very creative person, and I think that your love and your connection also serves as a muse for them. I think your future spouse is also very unique and like quite the character, and maybe a little bit quirky, maybe a little bit different. I think that they are absolutely unafraid to be their authentic self, and again, they had to grow into that energy. Their higher self didn't want you guys to come together until they had grown into that energy. Let me see if there's anything else that I also feel like, just like you would display tattoos, like you can see how visible all her tattoos are, right? Like she's not hiding them. I think it would be the same way in terms of how they feel for you. The fact that when you're together, they would want to show you off in a sense of like just being very proud to be with you, you know, and not like you're a trophy or something like that, not in a degrading way, but in a very sweet, innocent way of like, they just love you and they want everyone to know how they feel about you. They wouldn't shy away from, you know, talking about you with their friends. And, you know, I think that they just have there's a very sweet energy coming from this side. Okay. So I didn't ask for any specific message. And surprise, 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 that your future spouse's higher self had more to say than your higher self. Okay, so you all got the gardener over here. I'm just making sure you guys can see all the cards. So I really like to see this because to me it feels like this is saying, from your higher self's perspective, that this is a connection that's worth working on, that's worth putting in the effort towards, because that effort is going to be reciprocated. And, you know, the gardener has to continually work in the garden, right? Everything is so beautiful. You can even see this kind of looks like maybe like your spirit guides here, or even like your higher selves, like watching over the garden and helping bless it and move things along. But the gardener still has to do his part, right? He can't just leave the garden and walk away and say, see you next season. Like, you have to continually tend to the garden, right? You have to tend and attune to what the garden needs. And so if you're willing to put in that effort in a very real, grounded, practical way, that garden is going to flourish, and that garden is representing your love with this person. And so, you know, if you're being honest with yourself and you're like, you know, in past relationships, I really didn't want to put in that kind of effort, or I used to put in the effort and was never reciprocated, so I just gave up on love altogether, you know, whatever the case may be, your higher self is saying, now is the time to step up. Like, now is the time to start putting in that effort again, because this is someone that is worth that effort. Now, From your future spouse's higher self's perspective here, we have creativity, life purpose, and serendipity. So we kind of already talked about this serendipity. So a serendipitous meeting, if you're kind of confused about serendipity in general, watch the movie. Like there's a very cute, a little bit frustrating, but very cute movie called Serendipity that I love, that I definitely recommend you all watching. Last time I checked, I think it was on Hulu. But anyway, serendipitous meeting is like a meet cute in a rom-com, okay? So I think I've talked about this before, so if you already know what serendipity is, maybe fast forward what I'm about to say. But a serendipitous meeting would be like two people, no contact, you know, they go on vacation, they randomly run into each other in the hotel's elevator, and you know, one person almost missed the elevator, but the other person held the door for them and they rushed in, and then somehow they got to talking, and you know, maybe one person dropped their room key and the other person picked it up, and that sparked a conversation, you know. And if they had never decided to go to that hotel, or if they had not run to try to catch the elevator, or if the other person hadn't held open the door for them, or if they hadn't dropped their room key, they wouldn't have started talking. And then, you know, so it's like all these little things had to line up for this meeting to happen. And so that kind of reminds me over here, like the blessing of the garden, like your spirit guides, your higher selves are working together to bring you two together. And the fact that we had Six of Swords repeating on both sides, maybe you will meet this person when you're traveling, when they're traveling. That could also be a message. Now, with creativity and life purpose, makes me think that for your higher self, your future spouse's higher self, they're coming through and saying, listen, like there's a joint soul mission here, there's a joint life purpose here, and this is really the time for us to step through this door and create the life that we have, you know, really been destined for. And so again, there's a lot here about soulmates and fated connections and the right timing about things. The right timing. Okay. So now we have Jupiter here, we have fixed, and we have water. So with Jupiter here, this is Sagittarius energy. Jupiter is the luckiest planet. So Jupiter expands everything. And then we have fixed sign over here with stability, persistence, loyalty, and dependability. So this could be like hinting at, this actually could be representing just your zodiac placements, and that could be, you know, confirmation for you. But just in general, like, it's very interesting to me that we have this balance between water, which flows, right? And then we have this fixed energy. So I feel like that's the balance here, is that there has to be this stability in the connection, right? But then there's also this easiness to it. So while this connection is going to be the one that's very stable and very reliable and very dependable, there's also this deep emotional understanding and connection. And so this expansion card here is talking about, from your higher self's perspective, your spiritual understanding, your intuitive abilities, your feeling of being connected to your emotions is going to expand through this connection, but also there's going to be expansion in terms of your stability and like your material resources and how safe and secure you feel. So, you know, that root chakra is being attended to, but then also there's this emotional understanding in the higher chakras. So very beautiful, very beautiful. Gracie is just getting into everything. Okay, so from your future spouse's higher self's perspective here, we have conjunction. It says a union, merging, coming together. We have, oh man, I just realized, okay. We have Uranus with radical change, and then we have Taurus, trust, patience, and sensuality. With this Taurus card, I feel like this is reassuring us that there is this mutual physical attraction, you know, right off the bat here. But also with this conjunction and this radical change coming from Uranus, it feels like this meeting is sooner than maybe you would think, or it comes out of the blue and is very unexpected. Like, I think also that when you come into union with this person, expect your life to radically change. You did get the Tower in the very beginning, pile 1, on your higher self side. So expect radical change as a result of this connection. And it could also be radical change in relation to your material abundance, your material status, your stability and security where you live, because Taurus can talk about, or does rule, the second house, okay? So you could enter into a period where there's more luxury in your life as a result of this union, okay? This could also be speaking to this is going to happen for your future spouse. So just be mindful. Okay. Now we have glove over here. This also talks about luxury, like this fine, white, pristine glove, right? This also reminds me of the gardener, like put your gloves on and get to work. Like, you know, we can bring you two together, but you still have to do the work. Like, you have to keep open communication with this person. You have to be emotionally vulnerable. You have to commit, right? So if you have some fears around that, it's time to dig deep and work through it. But again, like, you're on the right path, so don't be too hard on yourself. With the Boar card over here, this is talking about like that physical intimacy. I think is going to be a little bit explosive, but also with the Boar card, whoever is the divine masculine in this union, be mindful of being maybe too reactive or a bit like aggressive in terms of like not wanting to open up emotionally. So whoever is the divine masculine here, just be mindful of maybe being too protective over your heart and your feelings. You know, like, it is safe to open up, it is safe to love. Okay. So we have flirts and we have true love. It says, this is the romance of a lifetime, and extend your lighthearted energy to others. So we already got the true love message with the tattoo card on your future spouse's higher self's side. And then flirt just tells me that there's going to be a really nice playful energy between you two, so you guys could act like kids together. You could have fun adventures together, definitely you know, some witty banter back and forth, quality conversations, joking, teasing with each other. So I think that's going to be really nice for you all. Oh man, did I not get... Whoops. Okay, I'm actually short one card. I'll have to pause the reading. I guess I forgot to get a card for your future spouse's higher self side, so you'll have to give me a minute. Oh no, I already grabbed it. Whoops. Okay, we're good. We have chemistry here. It says there's a strong magnetic attraction here. Yeah, I mean, no surprise, right? Like, I think immediately there's going to be a flirtatious energy between you two. Sparks are going to be flying. You two both feel like quite intense. I think just in different ways. But yeah, I feel like there's going to be just this nice flow between you two. And I think on the part of your future spouse's side, they're gonna know immediately. I think they may know before you do. I feel like they are just psychically picking up on everything. Absolutely. Like, even just the fact that it says magnetic here, like vibrationally, they are pulling you in, you know? So I feel like you may come to understand it in a very grounded, practical way, whereas they just like spiritually, energetically, psychically, I guess it's a word, feel this. They feel this. Okay. All right, now this is the card. We have intimacy. Allow yourself to become spiritually, emotionally, and physically intimate with one another. This is it. like right here. They feel this intimacy with you on all levels, and I feel like this is the kind of love that they're calling in. Like they want real, true intimacy in every sense of the word. You may be a little bit uncomfortable with maybe the emotional aspect of that and opening up. That may come with time with you. I feel like they are going to be a lot more open because their higher self has kind of cocooned them, gave them a million challenges to go through, trials and tribulations, and was like, grow up. And, you know, their higher self was very soft with them in some ways and very hard on them in other ways. And so it's like your future spouse has been in testing grounds. Like they have just been through so many difficult cycles because their higher self knew their potential, and they were like, I'm going to, almost like I'm going to, it almost feels like they were raised by their higher self. Like again, like I feel like they probably had a difficult childhood, and so they were kind of like a child of the universe, and their higher self was like, all right, let's mold you, you know? And yeah, I feel like they have been put through so much so that Ace of Cups could overflow. And so when they meet you, they are like ready, ready, ready. Okay? Now, on your side, we have hermit mode, alone time. Spending some time alone and apart keeps a relationship interesting and balanced. This card also indicates time being apart or single. So for right now, you could be in hermit mode, and I think we were picking that up. Like maybe you hadn't been leaving your house a lot, and with that networker card, you were encouraged to start talking to people again, reaching out to people, exploring more. So this could be indicating like, you know, for right now, like if you need that alone time, take that alone time, but when you're ready to come into union with your future spouse, like you need to get out more. And especially like if you are resonating with like, yeah, I really do need a vacation, that could be when you're meeting your future spouse. I would also say this could be indicating a need for you to go within some more. The Hermit card talks about an inner spiritual journey. So if you feel like there are some shadow aspects that you need to work on, delve into that subconscious, delve into that inner voice. That could be something for you to do to help, you know, continue to move along in this path towards meeting your future spouse. If you are in separation from your future spouse and you feel like you know this person, this could be indicating that you need some more alone time for whatever healing you need to do, whereas, you know, seems like they're ready for intimacy. So maybe it feels like you're moving towards each other, but maybe you're moving at a slower pace. That could be, you know, take what resonates. I'm trying to think if there are any other messages that I'm seeing here. I feel like that's it for right now. Okay, let's get some months of the year for when you could be potentially meeting this person. I think I'm gonna aim for 3 to 4 months here. And just remember, it's a general reading, so if something's not resonating, just leave it. Okay. When will pile 1 come into union with their future spouse or reconnect with their future spouse? When will this happen, please, Spirit? We have May, we have December, we have February. Oh, 2 more. We've got March and we've got November. Bottom of the deck, we have September. So I feel like for the majority of you, I guess it depends on what the seasons are where you live. Where I live, this looks like end of fall, winter, early spring. But just honestly, it kind of feels like there are multiple opportunities here for you all to meet each other. And given the fact that we had an element here of divine timing and fate and serendipity and all that, I wouldn't focus too much on the timing of this, just because to me it feels like you're on the right path. Six of Swords, you're both headed in the right direction, maybe at different speeds, but you are both headed towards union. I wouldn't get anxious about it. Like, I think if there was one takeaway message here, it would be to exercise patience. Exercise patience. Okay, so let's get the message from your future spouse's higher self. What do they want you to know at the time of this reading? It says, you may not always understand why certain things happen. However, there is always a higher purpose to the events in your life. Through turmoil, a blessing will soon be revealed. That's really actually very funny to me, because this feels like something your future spouse's higher self would say to your future spouse. Like, if that's the kind of like tough love and yet softness that I was talking about, yeah, that's very interesting. So now it feels like their future spouse's higher self is saying that to you. And that could be referring to also that tower. Like, when that tower finally crumbles completely, then you meet your future spouse. Okay, so pile 1, this was your reading. I know this was really different. I hope you all enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this. It took a lot of prep work, but I think it was a very, I don't know, I loved doing this. I like doing one side versus another side. Thank you to the subscriber who suggested this topic, and as always, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I would like to express so much gratitude towards everyone who's been supporting the channel thus far. I get really excited to see the comments, and I do make an effort to respond to everyone, even if it's just saying thank you for watching, you know. Yeah, I really like to see those. And also, you know, I like to see which pile you guys picked. It's always interesting to me to see like which pile gathers the most like viewers, like which pile resonates the most with people. But yeah, anyway, this was your reading, pile 1. Take care. Best of luck to you on your journey in love, and I will see you all in my next one. Hi pile 2, welcome to your reading. I will say, if you skipped the intro, no judgment, I tend to skip intros when I watch these kind of videos, but if you skip the intro, do me a favor and go listen to it, because it does explain the breakdown of how this is gonna go. Also, I just want to say this is a new deck for me, and if you guys think it's cute, this is the name of the deck. I will also have it listed in the description box. This is my first time using it, so I'm very, very excited. Also, I just dropped the months of the year oracle cards, so that's awesome. Okay, I got them. All right, so this is going to be your higher self side, and this is the side of your future spouse's higher self. I will say some of these cards are repeating from pile 1, so if you were drawn to pile 1, there could be some messages there for you, or maybe if you were split between pile 1 and pile 2, that could explain why, okay? But anyway, for your higher self here, we have the 7 of Wands, we have the 7 of Chalices or the 7 of Cups, we have the 6 of Wands, and we have the Sun. Now, just like pile 1, you all, it wasn't your bottom of the deck, but you both got the Sun card. So in pile 1, they both got the 6 of Swords, and here we have the Sun. So this makes me so happy to see this. We'll get into that, what that means in a second. But with the 7 of Wands here, I really like the way the 7 of Wands is depicted here. You can see the little bird looking at her through the window here. You can see she's balanced on this little stool, and she's trying to put these wands above this fireplace. And so the message here for you all from your higher self in terms of this connection feels like what your focus is right now is kind of getting your ducks in a row, like trying to get everything perfectly lined up. Now, the way you're doing this might be a little bit dangerous. Like you're leaning kind of close to the fire here. And so you may be like overextending yourself in trying to do this, burning yourself out, stressing yourself out. You could also just be on your own. Like, you know, she doesn't have anyone to help her here. You know, if she had someone taller, you know, they could do this a lot more easily, or they could at least like hold this still and make sure it doesn't topple over. So there's kind of this feeling of, you know, your higher self is recognizing that you're doing a lot of work to get your life together, and, you know, it's kind of like your higher self is this little bird watching you go. And so there's kind of this element here of your higher self being quite proud of you, but also being like, maybe slow down a little bit. Maybe you don't have to be this fiercely independent. And with the Seven of Cups here, I do feel like there's more available to you than you recognize. And even with the little butterfly here, I do feel like you're going to be transforming through some sort of circumstance in your life. And these little fairies, I think, are the inner guidance. Like, you know, there's this contemplation. So I think that when you're choosing a new direction, a new path, what you should do, even just like your next steps in life, I feel like you're taking more of this approach of listening to that inner guidance and just kind of following your heart, following your intuition, following these signs and the synchronicities. There was a weird noise over here. What's that? That's kind of a little... I don't know. There was like this... It was almost like this rattling in my coffee cup. That is so strange. Okay, that's a little bit weird because we were just talking about the Seven of Cups. Okay. Don't think I'm weird, but the way that, I don't know if the video picked up on that noise, but it sounded like something rattling around in the cup. Like this fairy would rattle around in the cup. I don't know, that was a bit odd. Okay. Anyway, feels like when you're choosing your next steps, it would be through that intuition, okay? Now, with the Six of Wands here, there is some sort of success. And you see how the bird here is like flying up through like these like little rose petals? So this bird that's been watching you work so hard is now watching you succeed. And so this kind of tells me that whatever you're choosing to do, whatever you're going after, that success is propelling you forward. And so it could be that at the time you come into union with your future spouse, you have encountered some level of success. There's been some sort of victory here. And this could also be indicating that part of this victory is going to be, okay, now you're ready. Now you're at a really good place. You know, you're high on life. You know, you're soaring above the crowd. You're really happy and optimistic and hopeful about the future. And this is when you come into union with your future spouse, or you reconnect with them, or if you feel like you already know this person and you're in a relationship with them, you know, maybe you're getting proposed to around the time that you are experiencing some sort of success or victory in another area of your life. Now, what is going on from your future spouse's higher self's perspective? We have Temperance here, which talks about grace and balance. We have the Page of Cups, we have the Death card, and also we have the Sun. So it feels like to me that, again, like both of you are going to be at a really good place in your life and feeling hopeful and optimistic about the future. It's a little bit different though. It's a little bit different because on this side, your higher self is saying you're going to be encountering some sort of success and feeling really good. On this side though, for your future spouse, they are feeling hopeful and optimistic despite what is happening in their life. I feel like with the Death card and Temperance here, your future spouse has had to grow through really difficult, challenging circumstances, and they have done so with grace. And so they're really like a newcomer to understanding their emotions. And it's quite a nice youthful energy. Like they have this curiosity now about their feelings, whereas before maybe they used to repress them. So it's a lot of personal growth, a lot of personal self-development here. And so even though maybe the circumstances in your future spouse's life is really difficult, or they've just been through a lot in their past and emotionally that has triggered this transformation and rebirth for them. You know, this is Scorpio energy, so they've had to go through a lot. This is Sagittarius, learning through experience. So it feels like to me like your future spouse has really had to develop this wisdom. And so even through every difficult thing they've been through, they've retained this hope and this optimism and this belief, this guiding light that things can get better. And so both of you are going to be happy and hopeful and optimistic. But for you, it's like you have real world reasons, very grounded reasons for why you're happy. Whereas them, you know, they're happy because of the way that they've grown internally and recognizing the way in which they've matured and grown, and, you know, developing even like a connection with spirit, or again, just really attending to their own emotional needs with that Page of Cups. So yeah, I feel like emotionally your future spouse is ready for a new start. And this side is seeming like very similar to pile one's future spouse as well, which is interesting. Okay, so now let's get these archetype cards. So these cards are representing the energy that you and your future spouse need to be in order to come into union or reconnect or get that higher level of commitment. So from your higher self's perspective, you need to be a guide. It says represents the nature of the divine in life and in yourself. So that lines up really well with listening to that inner guidance, right? And so I feel like you could be guiding your future spouse in some ways, like towards this connection, whether you're aware of that or not. I also feel like this is representing balancing out spirituality with what you're doing. So you could be so focused on like your career or some sort of goal that you have that maybe you're not quite as spiritually aligned as you typically are. And so this is just a reminder to come back into that connection with the divine and with yourself and listen to that inner guidance here. But yeah, it feels like you're learning a lot of wisdom here. A lot of wisdom. This also looks like the Hermit card, does it not, with the lantern? So it could be suggesting that when you come into union with your future spouse, maybe you're spending more time alone, you know, like after being in the crowd and being in the spotlight, you're returning back to center, you're taking some time out in nature, and you are, you know, reconnecting with spirit. This is also the Green Witch Tarot deck, and so this could be signifying like, you know, after all this success, get back out in nature, reconnect with your roots, and that is going to help you listen to that inner guidance, and that will guide you towards this union. Give me 1 second, there's some noise in the background. Hi Pile 2, I'm back, sorry. Someone was talking on the phone. All right, so now this card is going to represent the archetype that your future spouse's higher self believes your future spouse should be in at the time of your meeting or reconnecting with one another. Shapeshifter, skill at navigating through different levels of consciousness, ability to see the potential in everything. That lines up so well with the Death card, right? Like they're going through this period of transformation. You know, they're letting go of this past version of themselves, and they're really up-leveling and transforming into a version of themselves where you do have this alignment, right? And so, yeah, I feel like they're growing through this difficult cycle that's ending, and they're handling that transformation with grace. And so, yeah, I think if this is someone from your past, when you reconnect with them, they're going to be someone who has really transformed, someone who's really come into their own, someone who's really grown and evolved through those life experiences, through even like a spiritual awakening, even for some of you. So yes, shape shifting, like a lot of change on this side. Okay. So I didn't ask any specific questions with these cards. This is more so just open-ended. So what does your higher self have to say about this connection? We have nostalgia, and we have fear, commitment, anxiety, scared, concern. Okay. With this nostalgia card, it says memories, ex, childhood. So a couple different messages with this. Your higher self could be saying you've met this person before, you knew them in childhood. It could be an ex for some of you. It does feel like more so to me that this could be someone from your past that you didn't have a romantic connection with. This could be like you went to high school together, you got separated, and they went through this transformation process. And then when you meet them, you're like, wow, you're different than what I remember. And they had to grow up, they had to change, they had to come into their own. Not to say they were immature before, because I don't pick up an immature energy at all from this person. It just feels like they needed time to come into their own, to come into the best version of themselves, okay? Now, with this fear, this commitment and anxiety, if it is an ex, that makes a lot of sense that you would have maybe some reservations about it. Or even if it's someone from childhood, like think about it. Think about how insecure most of us are in high school or middle school, right? Like it's a difficult time. Puberty is a difficult time. Hormones are all over the place. Teenagers tend to be like really concerned with how other people view them. So if this is someone that you knew like from childhood, like that could trigger some old like insecurities, you may be thinking like, what is this person thinking about me? Did they know I used to have a crush on them? If that's the case. But yeah, I could definitely see it sparking like some fear or anxiety, like, especially if you guys still know like mutual people in common, that kind of thing. I think this could also just be talking about, though, nostalgia could also be talking about that immediate connection and feeling like you've known each other before. That could speak to past lives. It does feel like, though, you have some sort of shared history with this person. I don't know how you feel about that, but it does feel like you have some shared history. With this commitment anxiety, I feel like that is really speaking to also just in general, like being afraid of commitment. Like you can say you want something all day long, and then when it's right in front of you, you're like, ooh, it's like on people's wedding days, when they suddenly get cold feet. It's just a big step, it's a big step. And it's not really about necessarily like the fear of choosing wrong, although it could be, but there's also, I think, this fear around if I choose this and I let myself want it, it's gonna really, really hurt if I lose it. And especially if it's someone from your past, you're like, what if they walk away again? What if we get separated again? What if we live too far away from one another? What if like the odds are stacked against us, or it feels that way? So that could be something to work through. Now, on your future spouse's side, we have immature, childish player playing games. We have commitment, proposal, marriage, higher level of commitment, and we have finances, focus on career, money, workaholic. Couple different things here. For some of you, if this is an ex, maybe this is what you were dealing with before with your future spouse, and they had to transform and evolve and grow past that. And this could also speaking to maybe they had some immaturity around how they managed their finances in the past, or maybe they had some immaturity in terms of how they balance their work and their, personal social life. Like maybe they just work, and were never willing to put in the effort to their romantic connections in the past, and that made them really off balanced. And maybe that made them seem like they were really playing games or whatever when they just weren't willing to commit or focus on love, you know, and maybe they were protecting themselves emotionally by focusing on work too much. So just take whatever resonates. The best part of all this, though, is in the center we have commitment here. So if this is a problem in the past, we have death, we have shapeshifter, we have temperance. Like, there is now balance, there is now transformation, there is healing, right? Like, they are letting go of this energy, and no one's perfect. Like, I'm sure you have some things that you need to work on, this being one of them. But from your future spouse's higher self's perspective, they're saying this is what they're letting go of, and they're getting into an energy of being willing to commit. Okay? And this could also be speaking to the fact that just right now they're focused on their career, so just take whatever resonates. Okay. So from your higher self's perspective, we have finances and career. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. And then we have trust. This situation is calling for you to have faith. Okay, now looking at this being mirrored here, this could be signifying that, you know, maybe I can see this being like someone who just overspends. Like someone who emotionally, when they're feeling bad, maybe they shop. And so that's something they need to work on, is budgeting. And maybe you're very responsible with money, and so that would be an issue for you. This could also be speaking to the fact that there's a financial difference here, like one of you is financially well off and the other person is maybe struggling a bit in their finances and their security. This could also be speaking to the fact that maybe one of you is stuck somewhere, that they're unhappy because of their financial situation, so stuck at a dead-end job, you know, maybe stuck living with roommates they can't stand because of their financial situation, even stuck in like a partnership currently because of finances, like they can't afford to live on their own, so they have to live with this other person even though they would rather break up. That could be a thing. So yes, it's the situation calling for you to have faith and trust, I think, is really speaking to that fear card. Like, this is how you overcome this fear, is through having trust, and the situation calling for you to have faith that everything is going to work out. Especially right now, if you're struggling in your career and you're like, I don't see how I'm going to have that success, that Six of Wands, like I don't see how that victory is going to come. Have trust and faith in the situation that you are going to get to a good place financially in your career, where you're going to feel stable and like you have something to offer in a partnership. Okay, from your future spouse's higher self's perspective, we have codependency, and there's some cat fur here, sorry. We have codependency, addictions are affecting your romantic life. That could be talking about that overspending, like emotional shopping. We have stay optimistic about your love life, positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. So both of you need to have faith. They need to have faith through staying optimistic. You need to have faith through practicing trust. And then we have playfulness. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. Okay. Two messages here with playfulness. One of you, this could be talking about an ex and you need to recapture the romance, or someone you're in separation with, you need to recapture the romance. Others of you, this is really talking about someone that you knew in childhood or when you were a teenager, or maybe even an undergrad in college, and you need to be playful and sort of recapture that energy of youth. And you know, it's reminding me of that song, that Katy Perry song. That was actually popular when I was in high school, so that could be confirmation for some of you. This is someone from high school. But the Teenage Dream song, you know, like you need to be, or at least not you, your future spouse needs to be in that energy of a teenage dream, you know, like that song, you know, that youthful, fun, playfulness, wide-eyed, innocent, you know, lighthearted approach towards love. And, you know, this person is coming out of this deep transformation, emotional healing process. Like, the Death card is no joke. And while they handled it really well with that Temperance card, that's still very, very heavy energy to be going through. And so for them to be optimistic and return to playfulness really speaks to the strength of your future spouse. Like, it really, really does. And I feel like whatever codependency issues they had, I feel like they transformed that with the shapeshifter. I mean, I feel like they really, really let it go. And, you know, for some of them, maybe it was a codependency in the past, like maybe they had sort of this fear around connections, and so maybe they were avoidant regarding love, you know, with that immaturity. And so, you know, they just focused on their career, their goals, you know, because, or they could have attracted people who were codependent and that made them withdraw. You know, they attracted really clingy people, and so you know, when you're in a connection with someone who's like really clingy and like smothering you, what are you gonna do? You're gonna pull back, you're gonna pull away. And so that could be talking about what they experienced in the past, you know, people who are very controlling or manipulative. Okay. And if this is an ex, this could be talking about like one of you being very anxious and the other person being very avoidant. Could be. I know people never ever want to hear about an ex. Like, there's a very small population that wants to get back together with an ex. So I think for the majority of you, I would put money on this being someone from your youth that you're reconnecting with. Or if we get a soulmate card before the end of your reading, it could be talking about past lives. So far, I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen too much confirming a soulmate connection, but again, we're not through all your cards. We still have a lot of cards to go through, so we'll see. We have healing here, and we have communication. Okay. So some of you have had, because this is your higher self, remember, your higher self is speaking to you. You could be in a healing journey right now. This could also speaking to the fact that there's some healing that needs to be done on your willingness to communicate about your emotions and your feelings and your willingness to be emotionally vulnerable. This could also signify that once you get to a good place in your healing journey, you could be receiving some sort of communication or love offer from your future spouse, and that could be signifying when you will reconnect with them or come into union with them. Okay. And then we have trust again. There is so much here about trust, like on both sides. Like, I think both of you have been very, very hurt in the past. Very hurt. Or you had a childhood where you saw a lot of divorce, or there wasn't a lot of stability in the home. And so that created these issues that persisted into adulthood around attachment and love. Forgiveness. Open up. Both of you need to open up emotionally. Yeah, like where the door was closed, there needs to be this trust to be able to be emotionally vulnerable and open up on both sides of this. Both sides. I feel like with the Sun card, like you just need to believe that it's possible to have a healthy, happy connection. Like you both need to be in this state of optimism before this union or reconnection can happen. And trust the healing process. Trust the process of this. And this forgiveness card could be talking about forgiveness, you know, if this is an ex. It could also be talking about forgiveness, like if you guys knew each other in high school, maybe you didn't get along, or maybe there were some misunderstandings, there's a little bit of drama or something. You know, I can look back at my time in high school and be like, you know, why did I say that to that person? Or, you know, like, why did I act that way, or why did I do that way? Not why did I do that? Why was I acting that way? Why was that my behavior? You know, and not to say no one ever hurt my feelings in high school, because they absolutely did. But I wasn't an angel. Like, if I look back on it, I'm like, you know, I was kind of like rude to that person, or like, why did I say that? You know, when we're teenagers, like we can be like really hurtful and, you know, maybe not the most compassionate of people. So It's a really confusing, awkward time for everyone. And so, there may be, you might have to let go of some of that pettiness, if this is someone from your past, or maybe there was a miscommunication or a false start before, and you might need to let that go. I'm just giggling now because I'm reflecting on my time in high school and all the things that I would do differently now. But anyway, yes. And I think also just if your future spouse is coming out of that death card energy, like they're coming through like this big transformation and rebirth, man, do they have to let the past go. Like that's the whole deal. Like you were stepping into this new version of yourself, you're shape shifting, there has to be this forgiveness of what has happened in order to fully reconcile that energy and move out of that energy. And so, yeah, absolutely, like your future spouse is going through this process of having to forgive both themselves and everyone else that, has contributed to this closed door emotionally. Okay. We have in the now. Being in the now is important for your love life at this moment. Release any expectations or worries about the future. Only in the now can you manifest and influence your current love situation. We have one more try. I still love you. Give your relationship another chance. This card is a sign that the connection is not over and that both parties still have a path to go on together. It is worth fighting for this love. Okay. Like some of you, this isn't even an ex, it's someone that you're with currently and you're like, I don't know if we're gonna make it. I don't know if we're gonna get to a point of engagement and marriage. I don't know, we're going through a tough time. And so the advice here is like, don't give up and, just stay in the present moment. Now, if you're totally single, again, like I really think this could be someone from your past. Again, not necessarily an ex, maybe just someone from childhood, and you are really needing to give it one more try because it could be a false start, in the connection. So I think really just staying present, that reminds me of the guide, like, be in that sort of spiritual kind of energy where you're like keyed into the present moment, so like meditating or like going outside in nature and getting grounded, but balancing that out with like trust and faith and spirit. I feel like just staying in the present moment, whatever helps you do that is going to be really helpful. This reading is started out with some similarities to pile one and has taken a very different turn. Okay. We have new love and we have reunion. Okay. All right, I'm going to read these and then we're going to go through all the possibilities. We have reunion. This card stands for a reunion with your family and friends. There is a feeling of harmony and celebration. Significant people from childhood and or past lives could be coming back into your life for a particular reason. And we have new love. A new door to love will soon open for you. New love for you is on its way. This could be also a new phase in a relationship. Enjoy the excitement. Okay. I think as we're getting through this reading, it is becoming apparent to me that there are like 3 different tracks. So the first track is that this is a soulmate reunion, because now we have this card and I always associate this with soulmate reunion, whether it's soul family or a romantic soulmate. I always associate this card with a soulmate reunion. So this could be a reunion with someone who that you've either shared past lives together with them because it's a soulmate, or this is a soulmate from your childhood and you had that false start, or you were meant to go your own separate ways, grow up, mature, get your life together, and then come back into union together, okay? And that's why we had that nostalgia card come out. That's why we have all this forgiveness and like it seems like you have this shared history together. The second track is that this is someone that you're currently with and you've been going through a difficult time in your relationship and you don't know if you're going to make it and you've been considering walking away and leaving, this is signaling a new start, and that forgiveness and understanding and, you know, just giving it one more try and seeing how it goes, and this person is going to be the person that you marry. The third track here is if this is someone that you're in separation with, someone that, you know, you were in a partnership with and you broke up, and now they'll be coming back into your life and offering you this new start. So 3 different tracks, 3 different possibilities here. And just take whatever resonates. My guess is that for most of you, you're in that first track. This is either talking about past shared lives through, you know, a soulmate connection, and that's the shared history, or it's, you know, someone from childhood, someone from when you were younger, you know, and dumber and not as evolved as you are now, not as mature and not ready for this level of commitment. So yeah, I think for most of you, I would guess that you're in that first track. Okay. Also, just as a side note, you could be reconnecting with this person at an event, at some sort of celebration. So these 2 cards are discussing how you're gonna feel when you're married to this person. We have coffee break and we have always. So this is also my soulmate card. I always associate this card with soulmates. So this is, your higher self is saying this is always gonna be your person. This is always gonna be your person. And with coffee break here, there are 2 ways that I can interpret this. It can give this kind of feeling of like comfort, and caffeine like energizes you, and this sort of idea that, you know, when you need a respite from the world, this person is going to be your always. They're always going to be a safe space, and they're going to have that feeling of like rejuvenation and restoration. It also makes me think of patience. You know, like you have to wait for your coffee to cool down before you can drink it. So there may be an element of patience. Like sometimes this connection is too intense, too hot, and you need a break. And so there may be a little bit of ups and downs. Like I feel like when you guys love, you love hard and you love intensely, and sometimes you need to pull back and have a break from that. But I think you always come back together. And that's not to say you're gonna go through multiple breakups or anything like that, but just that there's an ebb and flow here. And, you know, because those emotions are so intense, yeah, you might need to take a break and focus on another area of your life. But yeah, this is love of a lifetime kind of energy. This is so much mutual adoration. So on your future spouse's side, we have trespassers. This tells me that they're going to be very protective of you. They're going to want to defend this connection. They're wanting to do anything they can to make sure that you all stay together. You know, like this is so much of like, I care so much for you. I don't want anyone to ever hurt you. You know, I don't want anyone else's opinions to influence our connection. You know, this person isn't going to tolerate anyone gossiping about you, speaking poorly about you or the relationship. You know, so if someone was being critical of your marriage, watch out, because this person is willing to fight for you and willing to fight for your marriage. Okay, we have boundaries and the distorted masculine. Okay. So this could be talking about, like, even if you're a divine feminine watching this, this could be speaking to the fact that your divine feminine is so strong that you are unable to bring forth that divine masculine energy when you need to. This could also speak to the fact that you have dated in the past people who were distorted masculines, where they were overly controlling, you know, sexist even, or they were really overly aggressive, or, you know, felt like they had to show their masculinity through those like typical you know, that traditionally masculine way of being like really physically strong, or, you know, kind of acting like a caveman, like a Neanderthal kind of way. Yeah, so that could be referring to like your dating history. And this boundaries card makes me think of, this is something you had to learn. Either it was respecting other people's boundaries, or being able to enforce your own, and being able to set those healthy boundaries and saying like, this is what I am tolerating and this is what I am not. So if you have a dating history that was full of distorted masculine energy, that taught you how to set those boundaries and, you know, how to be strong. This is giving me like Queen of Swords vibes here. So you may resonate with that Queen of Swords energy for sure. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. I had said like I hadn't seen the soulmate card yet, and then like we get that soulmate reunion card, and now we have the card of soulmates. So thank you to your future spouse's higher self for clearing this up. Again, like I think the majority of you are in that first track that I was talking about. This is a soulmate connection. You'll be having a soulmate reunion. And, you know, this could also be like, again, like someone from childhood, and they were your soulmate, but you weren't meant to be together. And so this whole time, that red string of fate has been keeping you together even as you're apart, and you've been growing and growing and growing and maturing and evolving. And, you know, when you're at that place of coming into union together, it's actually going to be a reunion. And it reminds me of that Taylor Swift song, Invisible String. So go listen to that song, because I feel like that's a really good indication of how this is going to play out. Okay, we have Aries and we have Chiron. Yeah, there's a lot of healing here, because when I think of Aries, I think of masculinity. Like Aries is the baby of the zodiac. It's the first sign of the zodiac. You know, it's the beginning of the wheel. And that means Aries is that cardinal fire. It's the initiator, and it can be impulsive, but it's very much like this ambitious go-getter. Like, I want to be the leader. I want to be the boss. I want to do what I want to do. I want it. I see it. I get it. Like, it's very, very masculine. And there may need to be a little bit of healing around this sort of area here. You know, like maybe you are debilitated in this way, and it's hard for you to be an initiator, or it's hard for you to step into that leadership role, or be honest with yourself about what you want and go after it. For others of you, you know, Aries isn't the most emotionally vulnerable or emotionally connected sign, so that could be signifying that that's something that you learn through this connection, is how to be emotionally vulnerable and open. Or this could be speaking to the fact that you're going to teach your future spouse that, because we did have the open up card over here. So maybe they're the ones who are more in this Aries energy, and this is something that you have to teach them, how to be more emotionally vulnerable and open. I do think that, you know, Chiron also talks about that first wound in childhood, and so there could be a lot of healing in terms of those deep wounds from childhood, you know, like that first heartbreak we ever experienced. So you can look in your birth chart and see what zodiac sign your Chiron is in, and that could be an indicator of what is going to be healed as a result of this marriage. Okay, let's see what your future spouse's higher self has to say. We have the second house and we have Mars. So double Aries energy. This could also be something that exists on both of you. You know, like maybe both of you struggle with that, you know, emotional vulnerability, or maybe both of you are a little bit bossy. You know, that could be a thing. Yeah, I think there's a lot of fire though. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of intensity. That could be signaling why there's, you know, some ups and downs in this connection, because the passion is so intense between you two. Now with the second house here, physical security, possessions, material values, and self-worth. This is also Taurus energy, so could be a little bit of stubborn energy here as well. But with the second house, This is also, again, talking about finances. So there could be, again, like something in relation here to finances that either hinders this connection or helps it move along. So it could be that maybe, like, if you're not in connection with this person yet, it's because there has to be some sort of change here in relation to the second house. This could also be describing how, again, like, your lives are going to change through this connection. Could be a change in that material security. Now, Mars. I think this is also speaking to that physical intimacy, but also your passion, and also how your arguments are going to go. Like, if everything feels intense and very heightened here. Like, when you love hard, and when you fight hard. So and that's not to say that there's going to be like some like physical aggression or violence or anything like that, but just that, think about it. Like, if you guys both have an issue with expressing yourself emotionally, or even if it's just one of you, and that gets repressed, what then happens? Eventually there is an explosion, right? And so if that's a thing, one person may blow up, or both of you may blow up. And so there's a couple different messages there. One, you could resolve arguments through physical intimacy. I think you guys know what I'm referring to there. You could also blow up and get mad, but you don't hold a grudge and you don't stay mad. That's the beauty of Aries and Mars energy here, is that when they do get mad, even if it's like this blow up and explosion, there's no grudge holding, there's no silent treatment, and nothing is passive aggressive. Everything is laid out on the table. So that's actually very positive in that regard. So yes, I think that's everything I wanted to say here. This Mars also is reminding me of how fiercely they will defend you and the marriage. Also, Mars makes me think of how hard they may work in terms of their career to get to this like place of abundance and luxury and stability. They could also derive a lot of their self-worth from how they feel in terms of their material wealth and their status. You know, certain status symbols may be important to your future spouse. Okay, we have Praying Mantis here. So this card also reminds me of the physical intimacy and the attraction here. I think there's also playfulness here. Like, you guys could definitely tease each other, like shade each other for fun. You know, like there's a lot of like playful banter back and forth. There could also be flirting through touch. Okay, and then we have mushrooms and we have knife. Again, like so protective, so willing to defend and cut through anything that anyone says that is negative about you or the marriage or the connection, like so protective. Mushrooms also, to me, can talk about, remember how they got the shapeshifter card, and it makes me think of Alice in Wonderland, how she takes different bites of the mushrooms and she gets smaller and she gets bigger. And so I think, again, like this person has really evolved and gone through a lot of changes, and they have really, again, like they've matured and they have come to a better place with themselves. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm seeing here. I think that's it. Okay, so we are going to end your reading by reading this card here. And then we'll also, actually, let's get your months of the year first. So these can be months that you will be meeting your future spouse. Now remember, this is a general reading, so feel free to claim one or multiple months, or if it's not resonating, leave it. So pile 2, when could they be coming into union with their future spouse, or reconnecting with their future spouse, or getting that higher level of commitment, such as a proposal? We have February, we have December, we have October, we have May, and your bottom of the deck is September. Okay, so if you want to pause the video and just see which month calls out to you, that can be how you select your month. Or if December sounds like a good month to you, you can claim it in the comments. That's also a good way of doing it. All right, so, or claim all of them. Like if you want multiple opportunities here, claim all of them. Okay, so this is a message from your future spouse's higher self, what they want you to know, pile 2, at the time that you are watching this reading. It says, when it comes to matters of the heart, there is no right or wrong. Every choice you make expands your understanding of life and love. It makes sense to me that you would get this message because you had the 7 of Cups. So don't worry about making the right or wrong choice here. Everything is expanding your understanding of love. And I feel like also with this message, if there's a problem in this connection where both of you want to be right all the time, like every connection has something that they're meant to grow and learn together. Otherwise, what is the point? So, and it's not always going to be happy, right, and perfect, because that would be a little bit dull. So this is kind of a little bit of a nudge that, it's not really about who's right or wrong. It's about how do we continue to try to sustain this connection? How do we work together? How do we grow? How do we learn together? Because if you're not growing together, you're growing apart. So, that might be, if someone's ego is a little bit too big, or both of you struggle with that, like you always have to be right, you always have to win every argument, you always have to have the last word, that might be something to be mindful of. All right, pile 2, this was your reading. Thank you so much for letting me do this reading for you. I really enjoyed it. A huge thank you to the subscriber who suggested this topic. It sounded really interesting to me and I wanted to film it right away. I love doing the two-sided readings here. I think it's really, it's really cool. Yeah, I hope this resonated. I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Hit the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can be annoying, so I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who does any of those things, but also to everyone who has been supporting the channel thus far. It really means the world to me. It's just very encouraging. It really is. I really appreciate everyone who takes the time to like a video or comment or subscribe. Like, it really does mean the world to me. And yeah, I hope you all, I'm wishing everyone the very best on their journey towards love. Like, I really feel like the year 2022 is, just based upon a lot of the readings that I've been doing, it feels like there is this movement forward towards people like uniting with their soulmates or meeting their long-term person or their true love or their life partner, whatever terminology you want to use. And yeah, I'm wishing everyone the very best here. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Take care, pile 2. Hi pile 3, last but not least, welcome to your reading. So if you skipped the intro, I do recommend watching the intro on this video. It has an explanation of the layout and what we're going to be doing today. I usually skip the intro myself when I watch these videos, so I totally understand, but I do recommend checking it out. It should be fairly short. Okay, so I will also say, now that I have filmed the other 2 groups, every single pile has had a matching card. And to me, that is a very good sign of being in alignment. Now, yours is interesting because pile 1 was talking about the movement and the trajectory. Pile 2 was talking about a perspective. And for you, to me, with this repeating Emperor card on both sides here, makes me think of being in energetic alignment, like being what you want to attract. So looking at it, I could see it going both ways. This is your higher self speaking. So you may resonate with this Emperor energy. You may be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely an Emperor. I'm definitely a divine masculine. I'm someone who likes to be in the driver's seat. I like to be a leader. I like to be in control. I'm an Aries. I'm very pragmatic. I'm practical. I have this energy just of being a boss, being quite traditional, down to earth. Like, I like things done a certain way, but I have this fiery side to myself as well. You may resonate with that energy. Or you could feel like, no, but that's the kind of person I want to be with. I want to be with an emperor. I want to be with someone who is a leader and a boss and someone who has their life together, not someone who's a hot mess. And so, you could be a divine feminine watching this. And remember, we're just talking about energy. We're not talking about gender. So this is the side of your higher self. This is the side of your future spouse's higher self. But who is this emperor? I'm going to leave that open for you all to make that determination, because I know, there are multiple people watching this reading, but I will say, in terms of energetic alignment, given the fact that we have the Emperor on both sides, looks very, very favorable, okay? Now, with the higher self over here, this is your higher self, I would almost suspect that you are wanting to attract an emperor, and maybe you are this fire queen, but again, just take what resonates. So this is the Queen of Wands right here. So I feel like the Queen of Wands would be a great match for this emperor. The Queen of Wands is someone who is very much like charming, sociable, she's not afraid to be unique and to be her authentic self. Like, she's very confident, she's very creative. This is Leo, Aries, Sagittarius energy. Also just with the fact of her like watching these fireworks and all these sparks going, this could also be indicating that when you are with your future spouse, you're gonna immediately feel those fireworks. Like, right away, there's gonna be this instant attraction here. Now, also here, we have the Four of Pentacles and the Hermit card. So this is kind of interesting too. Like, these are both pretty sociable people. I would say the Emperor is maybe a bit more focused on work, or maybe a little bit more serious than the Fire Queen here, the Queen of Wands. But the interesting part here is that even though the Hermit energy isn't in alignment necessarily with these two energies, it feels like your higher self is saying, like, this is what you need to do. With the Hermit card here, like, you need to withdraw, you need to retreat, you need to get just very clear about what you want in terms of romance and love. With the pomegranates here, if you don't know the story of Hades and Persephone, there's a lot of different versions of that tale, but essentially, for the sake of this reading, we'll go with this version. When Persephone is in the underworld, because Hades is essentially like the ruler or the king of the underworld, she takes a bite of the pomegranate, and so because she takes a bite of the pomegranate, she is bound to the underworld. So while she can return, to our world during the like summer season, like, when things are growing and blooming, and in spring when things are blooming. I already said that. During the cold fall and winter, she returns to the underworld, and she rules side by side with the Emperor, with Hades, and she is she becomes the queen of the underworld. And that's why we have fall and winter, because in fall and winter, her mother is sad to be parted with Persephone, and so that's why we have everything dead, because her mother is like the ruler of harvest or something like that. Some of you may know that myth a lot better than I do, but that's the general gist of it. So that could be a message for you to maybe be willing to part with these earthly possessions with the Four of Pentacles. Like, maybe you've been too focused on sort of the material things. Like you can see all these like cat toys like piled up behind this cat here, and he's like defending them. Maybe you've been too focused on the material, and would actually help you to connect with spirit more and do that self-reflection. Maybe do some of that shadow work, you know, go within, listen to that inner guidance, and that will help you along this path towards union. It honestly feels like your higher self wants to connect with you more. That's what it feels like. It feels like your higher self wants to tell you about this fire queen, or wants to tell you about this emperor, but you need to be in this energy for that to happen, and less focused on the day-to-day, because I think you've been maybe hyper fixated on, you know, material things at this time. And not in like judgment of that, or like there's anything wrong with that. You know, we all have bills to pay and stuff. But you know, if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, like maybe I have been like a little bit hyper fixated, you know, on like, or maybe I've been shopping too much, or maybe I've been too fixated on these material things that I've been wanting but don't necessarily need. Or this could be talking about, maybe it would be helpful for you to go through your space and kind of just clear out the things that, you know, are just kind of clutter and don't really add any value to your life. This could also be talking about like, how do you want to build? Like if you feel like you're wanting to be this emperor, how do you build? How do you build something stable and secure for yourself? So it's really going to depend like whether you're resonating with this fire queen energy or this emperor energy. Okay, now for your future spouse's higher self. Quite a lot is going on with them. With the Wheel of Fortune here, your future spouse's higher self is saying like, this connection has an element here of fate and luck and like divine timing, and the Justice card is making me think of someone deserving this connection. Like your future spouse has done the work, and it's time for them to let go of the past and step into a new cycle with this Fool card. So it's time for them to step into their future, and they karmically are kind of owed this kind of stable connection. You know, like they are very much like deserving of your love and deserving of this marriage with you. You know, like the scales are being balanced out. Justice also talks about marriage, and this is Libra energy, Venus, love. Like, yes, this is the truth, you know, like, and this is new love, hope, and optimism. And so this is the Wheel of Fortune, right? Like the wheel is turning in their favor. The scales are being balanced. Like and I feel like with the blindfold here, like they're just going to feel it. They're going to know that you're the one. And they have enough hope and optimism in this new start to believe in like love at first sight and that kind of romanticized view of love. And so from them, like, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of timing. Like they are, you know, it's like just fated that they're going to be with you. It's just a matter of time. Like when it's going to happen, we don't know, but it's going to happen when it happens. And, you know, there's nothing that's really going to stop this wheel from turning. Okay. So let's look at the archetypes now. So this card is representing what your higher self believes, the sort of like the energy, the archetype that you need to embody to come into union or reconnect with your future spouse or get that higher level of commitment if you are already with this person. This is the archetype your higher self believes you should embody. We have vampire here. Okay. This is interesting. With the hermit card here and vampire. Vampires sleep during the day, right? Like you don't see them until nighttime, right? And just get in touch with your shadow self. Delve into that subconscious and withdraw. I don't think you typically like to do that, but this is what is needed here. You need to get to know your own shadow. You need to do that inner work. You need to go on this like deep spiritual journey here. again, like, I don't feel like you necessarily enjoy this. I don't feel like this is your game. Like, I don't feel like you're like, ugh. I have a shadow self reading, so maybe check that out. But yeah, I feel like this is saying, like, get to know your dark side. Like, you need to delve deep. Okay, this is a good person. Like, this is such a good person. You might need to get to know your shadow to be on level with this person, because this person's like a little angel over here. Okay, this is the archetype that your future spouse needs to be in to come into union with you. And this is, again, from the perspective of their future, of their higher self. Okay. Seeker. Thirst for wisdom and truth wherever they are. Yeah, like, with the Fool, like, this is someone who's starting out on a new journey. This is card 0 in the major arcana. So they're just like la-di-da-di-da, you know, like jumping off the cliff, starting a new journey, you know, eyes wide open, you know, just ready for anything. They're open, their heart is open, they're ready to receive, they're seeking you out. And yeah, it's very like dark versus light. And not to say that there's anything wrong with you, pile 3, but you need to go deep. You need to delve into that subconscious. Yeah. And it's so funny because I think that given that we have the Fool and Justice here, like, your future spouse has been through so much, and yet they have just, they've been through so much, and yet they're like this little ray of sunshine. Like, when I was watching the Johnny Depp trial, someone had put in like this little TikTok video, and when the camera like went to Johnny, they started playing this, and I recognized it immediately, but it was this unreleased Lana Del Rey song called like Queen of Disaster, and it's like spinning like a ballerina, like that's like your future spouse's energy. They're just like la-di-da-di-da. Like, obviously the trial for Johnny was like quite, I imagine it was like emotionally scarring. Like, his whole personal life and business and his worst moments were put, you know, for all of us to judge and to look at and to talk about. And so, yeah, but despite that, he's just sitting over there with his lawyer eating candy and drawing little pictures, and, you know, like, chaos is going on around him, and he seemed pretty unbothered at times during the trial. And, you know, if that was me, I don't know, I might be crying the whole time. And not to say he didn't seem like he was struggling during parts of it, but I think that he was quite resilient, from what I could see anyway, as an observer. So I feel like that's kind of the energy of your future spouse, is that, you know, even though you'll talk to them and they'll have gone through like these horrific things, but they'll still be able to make a joke about it, or they'll still retain that like innocence, you know, like you can't, I think if you haven't met this person yet, it's gonna be quite striking to you how like innocent and sweet and carefree they are, or at least they seem to be. And then when you hear their story and what they've been through, you're just going to be like, how are you still smiling and laughing? And how do you still have this belief and love and hope and faith? I think that's going to be quite surprising to you. Okay, I'm going to shut the window because the people who like do the yard work are outside. Okay. Anyway, okay. So let's get into, I grabbed too many cards. We're gonna do this deck first. Give me a second. Since you're pile 3, I gotta reach like all the way back in my little organizer. Okay, I didn't ask any specific question with these. This is just in general, like how you guys, or how your higher self is feeling about the connection. So for you, we have healing, difficult self-truths, acknowledgement, and inner work. We have illusions, everything is not as it seems, secrets, and we have sneaky, karmic, underhanded, deceit, lies, and secret. Yeah, like, I don't know what's going on, pile 1, but you gotta delve deep. Like, you gotta work through everything that has happened to you. and everything that you've been through. Like, it's a healing journey. Like, when you start to heal, you have to delve into those illusions. You know, you have to delve into those past karmic connections and the way that you were hurt. You have to delve into those lies that you were told before, and how maybe you like ignored red flags in the past, or maybe there were certain things that you weren't willing to accept, like someone was acting in this manner and you chose to turn a blind eye to it, or you couldn't see it for what it was for whatever reason. And so, you know, it's time to reflect on the past, because I think all of this is something that's likely already happened to you, and it's time to integrate those karmic lessons and move on. And so, yeah, you're definitely meant to be healing right now, pile one, or at least that's what your higher self wants you to be doing. Okay, now your future spouse's higher self says cycle, karmic cycles ending past patterns, and balance, work, life, even grounds. I feel like I don't want you to feel bad, pile three, but it does, at least at this stage, kind of feel like your future spouse might be edging just a little bit faster in this process than you. Because it feels like to me, given that we have the Fool card here, like your future spouse has just ended a karmic cycle or ended a series of karmic cycles and has made a break with those past patterns and has come into balance, has come into alignment. You see the heart and you see the moon and then the sun above, like they've come into alignment with that shadow versus the sunlight, the hope, and the optimism. Whereas with you, I think you're either needing to start this or you're in the thick of it. You're in the thick of it. And it's no like race or contest here, obviously. But if you're avoiding doing this, I would get on it so that you can be in alignment with this person. Okay. We have fun. And we have romance. So when you are in connection with your future spouse, it's going to be very playful. You're going to go on a lot of adventurous sort of dates, a lot of unique dates. You know, there's going to be a lot of thoughts and creativity and effort put into planning these excursions together. One or both of you could have a love language of quality time. Also, just again with romance, there's just a lot of effort here, and it could also signal that someone has a love language of words of affirmation as well, and like maybe someone speaks quite poetically towards you or says like really thoughtful things or is very charming. Romance could also signal like physical touch, so I definitely think that if you all don't share the same love language, then you're definitely able to adapt to each other's love language. And I feel like this is a connection where love is expressed in multiple ways. And honestly, how wonderful will it be, given that both of you have been through so many difficult circumstances, to have this energy of fun? That's quite welcomed, right? We have effort and we have hope. Yeah, I feel like this person is already putting in the effort. Your future spouse is already putting in the effort towards calling you in if you don't know this person yet. This person is also just someone who puts a lot of effort into everything that they do, including their romantic partnerships. You know, like they understand that for love to grow, work and effort has to be put in. They understand that, you know, love itself isn't enough. Like you have to be willing to do the work, willing to understand one another, willing to compromise, willing to communicate, you know, like they get all of that. This is a very mature person. And with the Hope card here, I think that really speaks to the Fool card energy we had in the very beginning. Like your future spouse is just really hopeful and optimistic that they could have, you know, a happy, healthy connection, that, you know, they will get married someday, they will meet the one someday. Like they're just really hopeful about their love life at this time. Okay. We have honeymoon, enjoy the bliss of holiday time together, and passion. Allow your heart and soul to sing with joy. So there's going to be a lot of intimacy, I think, on all levels, but especially physical intimacy will be quite high within this connection. Your higher self is also saying that like your honeymoon phase will likely last longer than the average couple. And again, like that quality time, just getting away from the day-to-day grind and spending some time just you and this person and exploring and traveling together, I think will be quite enjoyable. You're going to be a really fun couple. Okay, we have reconciliation and past life relationship. So it says, you have known each other before and someone from your past is returning to your love life. I don't feel like this is an ex, like whatsoever. It could be, you know, if you're wanting that, but I think that for most of you, this is talking about a soulmate connection, someone that you shared multiple past lives with, but also it could be someone from your childhood or someone that you knew in the past that you didn't have a romantic connection with. Maybe they were a mutual acquaintance or you went to school together or you used to work together. So just take whatever resonates. It does feel like this is really talking about a past life connection though, especially because we had the Wheel of Fortune and Justice. It feels like there is a soul contract here. Yes, okay. So these two cards, or actually no, your future spouse had two cards. So this card is indicating how you will feel when you are married to this person. So your higher self says the human myth. So your higher self is saying that you're almost going to feel like your future spouse is too good to be true. Like even when you're married to them, that makes sense why you had the honeymoon card as well. Even when you're married to them, sorry, I had to clear my throat there. Even when you're married to them, you're gonna feel like, how did I get so lucky? Why is this person with me? Or this person is too perfect, too good to be true. And I think that's why you're encouraged to go through this healing journey, because you need to have this understanding that you do deserve someone like this. And yes, like people are good, people are trustworthy. Not everyone is out to screw you over, you know, that kind of thing. How will your future spouse feel once you're married? What does their higher self have to say about this? We have gift revealed and thinking of you. Okay, for some of you, your future spouse is quite spiritual and maybe they sense this union before it actually happens, or they could have psychic abilities that they're unaware of, so maybe they dream about you before they actually meet you, or if it's someone, you know, if you guys knew each other in the past, you know, maybe they could randomly think about you one day, and that could be, you know, that psychic ability coming through and they're just not aware of it. Now, with this thinking of you, that could also signal knowing someone from the past, because it could signal them reminiscing. But anyways, I think once you're married, they're always going to feel like you are a gift to them, that you were a welcome surprise, you know, with that Wheel of Fortune. And I think that they're really someone who's going to prioritize you and really think about how their actions affect you. Again, this is a very good-hearted, mature person and someone who really honestly knows how to love. And yeah, I feel like they're gonna feel quite blessed, I think would be the word they would use. Quite blessed to be with you. Okay, so we have Libra here, we have fire, and we have the 4th house. So I think that, again, like in terms of this marriage, it's gonna feel like you two are evenly matched, like the scales are balanced once you are married. You know, you two are gonna be very fair, very honest with one another, very considerate of each other's feelings. You know, there's not going to be any lies or betrayal or deceit, you know, and also this feeling of deserving each other, like karmically being in alignment. 4th house signals stability and home life. You could definitely have a family together. just a really cozy kind of connection. But then that water energy is balanced out, because this is Cancer, right? Is balanced out with fire. So there's still that passion. So there's this emotional intimacy and coziness, but there's also this fire and this heat and this passion. So that's a very beautiful balance. Even if you think about the scales here, this balance between fire and water. And then this is air sign energy as well, so communication could also be very strong between you two. So from your future spouse's higher selves perspective, we have Gemini and Yang energy. This Yang is the divine masculine energy here, and then with Gemini, so now we have air sign energy on both sides. So again, signaling that communication is going to be very strong. Gemini also brings a playful energy. You also may feel like your future spouse is really connected to their inner child, so they could just be very playful, very innocent, maybe naive in some ways. And then with the Yang energy here, it does feel like you two are going to be quite productive and you're going to achieve a lot together in terms of building your future. So that could be, you know, working together to save up for your dream home, working together to support one another in a career, or starting a business together, or saving up money so that you can have children, things like that. So we have resolving conflict here, empathy, compassion, and understanding. I really feel like this is you going through this healing process and resolving those past conflicts with empathy, compassion, and understanding and love, as well as resolving conflict within yourself if you regret maybe how you let other people treat you in the past. So I don't really feel like this is talking about resolving conflict with your future spouse. It really feels like that's speaking more to, again, like that inner work that you're meant to be doing. And then we have compatibility. Yes. So your future spouse's higher self just wants to come forward and reassure you that you're both going to be very compatible with one another, which is great. Like, you definitely want to see that. Okay, again, retreats. So this is kind of the second time that you've had this message, right? It says retreat. Disconnect from the outer world a bit in order to sort out how you feel about a certain situation or person. Make time for yourself now. This will help you to gain more clarity. So this is also with the Hermit card here, right? Like, retreat. Go within, you know, sort out your feelings. I feel like you just need to spend some time on your own, and that's going to be really beneficial to your love life, but spending quality time with yourself. So that doesn't mean like sitting alone by yourself and just like watching TV or something. I'm gonna open up the window so we have more light again. You know, that means like journaling or meditating or taking a mindful walk outside, you know, something where your mind is quiet enough to where you can receive those messages from your inner voice, you know, delve into your subconscious, listen to guidance from your spirit guides, that kind of thing. On your future spouse's side, interesting, we have healing. You're in a phase of healing your heart. This can be from a current event or an old emotional pattern that needs to be released. This is a time for self-care. Again, like, I feel like your future spouse is healing. Doesn't really have an end point. Like, we're all meant to be healing as we continue to go through our lives. But I do feel like, again, like, you're meant to start those initial steps towards healing or continue on the path. Whereas to me, it feels like they're more so clearing out this cycle because we have the Fool card. And so I really feel like they're already in the process of this. Like, they're already doing this and clearing out sort of the last cycle. I also feel like this is telling me that for your side of it, I think that even when you're with this person, you can still feel the kind of freedom you would feel when you're on your own. You know, like, this person just, your future spouse is someone who you don't really get sick of, you know, like you don't mind spending time with them. You know, you never feel like your freedom is being compromised by this person. And on the side of your future spouse, I feel like you also are good for their heart, you know? Like, I feel like your future spouse is quite tender-hearted because they have been through so much. And even though they have this resilience and hope and optimism, they should still be handled with care because of what they've been through. They still have a very gentle soul. And I feel like you are quite good for them in that way. Okay, we have Cauldron and Cat. Aren't you very witchy? Pile 1. Cats are also like very independent, right? Like, I have a very loving, affectionate, sweet, sweet, sweet cat. And so even still though, she still takes like a 6-hour siesta in the middle of the day. Like, she still goes off on her own and sunbathes and naps and, you know, does her own like kitty cat things. And so, you know, she bird watches, whatever. And so I feel like that's kind of like partially your energy. Like, as sweet and loving as you can be, you also really value your freedom and independence. And I feel like your future spouse is really going to respect that. You know, like, when you need space, they're going to give you that space. As sweet and affectionate as they are, they will still give you your space and your freedom to be you. With Cauldron too, you could be trying to manifest this person, because with Cauldron, I just think of like spell work and, you know, getting all of your like items together for the spell and like setting the intentions and then, you know, being very mindful throughout that process. Cauldron is also making me think again of that healing, like, you know, getting all those things together, like making sure that you feel like you're in a good space and being mindful of how you feel and very intentional about what you want and what you want to release. So I feel like that lines up really well. Also, you know, getting in touch with that divine feminine energy if you need to. We have Wings and we have Creature's Paw. Exactly what I was saying. It really feels like you two may be like free spirits. You know, both of you may be free spirits in the sense of like being independent and doing your own thing. And so you guys are really going to respect that within one another. You know, as different as you two are, you're also so similar in other ways. And I think that's going to be quite delightful to discover that within each other. This could also signal that this is kind of interesting, and you guys will both chase each other because they got the Seeker card, but then also cats chase birds. So that could be like showing that you guys are both going to be chasing each other. And so there may be moments where like you're moving towards them and then other moments where they're moving towards you, and things are very balanced in that way. You know, no one is running away from the other person all the time. You know, like you're both like, you know, taking turns in terms of pursuing each other. And again, I think mostly though, just respecting each other's independence and need for space. With Creature's Paw, this card also talks about like, it always makes me think of Lady Gaga and like the monsters thing, Little Monsters or whatever she called it. This is being okay with being different and being okay with being unique and just showing up as your authentic self and like whatever. Also, this talks about the physical intimacy, again, I think is going to be quite intense between you two. I think it's going to be very balanced, like both of you are going to be happy with the physical intimacy part of your connection. Okay, trying to keep everything PG. All right, so let's get some months of the year, and then we will read the message from your future spouse's higher self, what they want you to know at the time of you viewing this reading. Now, with these months of the year, you can claim one of these, you can claim multiple months, you can claim all of them. You can pause the video and see which month is calling out to you, whatever the case. Also remember, it's a general reading, so just take what resonates. Okay, pile 3. When will you come into union, reconnect, or get that higher level of commitment with your future spouse? Pile 3, what do we need to know? Pile 3. We've got May, we've got January, we've got November here, April, bottom of the deck we have October. All right. For some of you, you may want to watch my love prediction for the month of October if that resonates. Okay. Let's get this message here. Also remember that your future spouse's higher self reminded us of the Wheel of Fortune. So it could be that your meeting with this person, if you don't know them yet, could be quite unexpected, could be serendipitous, could be like, you know, a meet cute in a rom-com. You could meet under unusual circumstances. You could have, you know, the kind of love story that is entertaining, like you have a unique way of how you met. That's a good story to tell to other people. It could also signify that a lot of this is based upon, again, that vibrational alignment, and that the timing is really up to the both of you of when you achieve this alignment. So take what resonates in that regard. Okay. We have reflection. Give each other some space at the moment. Trust and have faith that will all work out for the best. I think that you all are already good at giving each other space. But this could be talking about, like, if you don't know this person yet, maybe just try to focus on yourself and try to refrain from hyper fixating on when this is going to happen. You know, give them energetically some space if they're not ready for it yet. If you're not ready for it yet, be honest with yourself about that. If you already know this person and you're in a relationship and you're just like, when are they going to propose? When are they going to propose? You know, like, give them some space, give them some time with that. Yeah. Okay. So pile 3, this was your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads or do any of the other things that I just listed out. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel thus far. Your encouragement means the world to me. Yeah, I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope that you all, I'm wishing you the very best. I'm wishing you the very best in love, and I'll see you all in my next one. Take care, pile 3.